In the north of the Gaza Strip, another operation of Israeli troops in Jabalia began. Before the offensive began, the IDF called on local residents to evacuate, but Hamas prevented this. Israeli units then began moving from the Erez crossing through Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia. At this point, the Israelis have almost completely encircled Jabalia, despite Hamas resistance. At the same time, the Israeli Air Force carried out strikes throughout the northern part of the Gaza Strip. The strikes hit both the capital of the enclave and nearby areas and localities. Preventive strikes against Hamas infrastructure also continued across the central part of the enclave. The Palestinians, for their part, occasionally shelled Israeli positions near the Netzarim junction. In the south, in the Philadelphia corridor, there are no new Israeli advances. Engineering activity is underway. At the same time, there are almost daily reports of tunnels being destroyed or buildings being blown up. The Palestinians, in turn, struck Israeli-occupied territory with rockets and mortars. The strikes were launched particularly at the IDF-controlled Rafah and Kerem Shalom checkpoints and border kibbutzim. In the West Bank, police operations by Israeli security forces continued unabated, accompanied by mass detentions. Despite attempts by militants to counteract them, dozens of local Arabs were put in the prisons every day. In Be'er-Sheva, a Bedouin resident attacked an IDF soldier at the central bus station. He drew his weapon and opened fire on passers-by. One person was killed and 13 others were injured. In the north, Israeli forces continued their earlier offensive along several sections of the border with Lebanon. Hezbollah is engaged in defensive fighting in the areas of Nakura, Kfar Kila, and Yarun. At the same time, Hezbollah is striking territory in northern Israel. Dozens of alerts were reported daily, but Iron Dome intercepts most of the munitions. In turn, the IDF Air Force and artillery struck practically the entire territory of Lebanon, including the capital region. On the southern outskirts of Beirut, the Dahiya neighborhood, described in the media as a Hezbollah stronghold, was hit.